They steal your ideas in meetings. They throw you under the bus when things go wrong. They take credit for your work and somehow always make you look incompetent in front of the boss. Sound familiar? Your toxic colleague thinks they're untouchable because you're all professionals here. They think workplace politics protect them. They think you'll just keep your head down and take it. Well, today that changes. I'm sharing 5 devastating workplace revenge tactics that will make your toxic colleague realize they picked the wrong person to mess with. These aren't about creating drama or getting fired. These are surgical, professional, and absolutely devastating strategies that work within the system. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to make them regret every single thing they've done to you, while looking like the perfect employee. Let's get started. The psychology of workplace revenge. Here's what toxic colleagues count on: your professionalism. They know you won't scream, you won't cause a scene, and you won't do anything that could jeopardize your career. And they're right, you won't. But what they don't realize is that the workplace gives you tools they don't have in regular life. Documentation, hierarchy, policies, procedures. Every toxic behavior they display can be turned against them using the very system they think protects them. The tactics I'm about to share will work because they're not about revenge. They're about becoming an exemplary employee while strategically exposing their unprofessional behavior. Ready to turn their workplace into their nightmare? Let's begin. Tactic 1: the professional ghost. The first tactic is called the professional ghost, and it's about systematically removing your support while maintaining perfect professionalism. Here's exactly how it works. Stop doing anything that makes their job easier. No more covering for their mistakes. No more sharing information they haven't asked for. No more going above and beyond to help them succeed. Your implementation. Stop volunteering information in meetings when it would help them. Don't remind them about deadlines or important details. Remove yourself from optional collaborations with them. Respond to their requests with exactly what they ask for. Nothing more. The key phrase: I'm focusing on my assigned responsibilities. Use this whenever they ask why you're not being as helpful as before, why this devastates them. Toxic colleagues often rely on others to compensate for their incompetence. When you stop being their safety net, their true performance becomes visible to everyone. Real example. Mark's colleague Sarah always took credit for team wins, but blamed others for losses. Mark stopped sharing useful insights in meetings and stopped covering for her missed deadlines. Within a month, management noticed Sarah's individual contributions were minimal compared to her claims. Tactic 2 is the success showcase, making your achievements so visible that their incompetence becomes impossible to ignore. The psychology. Toxic colleagues often dim your light to make themselves shine brighter. So we're going to make your light so bright that they look like a flickering candle next to a spotlight. Your action plan. Document every win, no matter how small. Send regular update emails to your supervisor about project progress. Volunteer for high visibility assignments. Share your successes in team meetings with specific metrics. Create a paper trail of your contributions to every project. Advanced strategy. Always CC your boss when sharing project updates. Frame it as keeping everyone informed, but what you're really doing is creating a record of who's actually doing the work. The beautiful psychology. While they're busy playing politics and undermining others, you're building an undeniable reputation for excellence. Management starts to see the contrast. Pro tip. When they try to take credit for something you did, have the documentation ready. Actually, here's the email thread showing my initial proposal and implementation. Tactic 3, the email paper trail. This is where we get really surgical. Tactic 3 is about using email to create an unbreakable record of their toxic behavior. The golden rule: if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. If it is in writing, it's evidence. Your documentation strategy. Follow up every verbal conversation with an email, just to confirm our discussion. When they give you unclear instructions, email for clarification. Save every email where they're rude, unprofessional, or blame you unfairly. When they make promises they don't keep, reference it in writing. Sample email. Hi, name, following up on our conversation from this morning about the deadline change. Just to confirm, you mentioned the timeline has moved from Friday to Tuesday, and you'll be handling the client communication while I focus on the technical implementation. Please let me know if I misunderstood anything. Thanks. Why this is devastating. Toxic people rely on plausible deniability. They gaslight you by denying conversations happened or claiming they said something different. Email eliminates their escape routes. The long game. You're building a case file. If things escalate to HR, you'll have months of documented evidence while they have nothing. Tactic 4, the alliance building. Tactic 4 is about building strategic relationships that isolate your toxic colleague from influence and support. The reality. Toxic people usually have multiple victims. You're not alone, and you're going to use that to your advantage. Your networking strategy. Identify others who've been affected by this person's behavior. Build genuine relationships with influential colleagues. Become known as reliable, helpful, and professional. Share credit generously with everyone except the toxic person. Attend work events and build visibility across departments. Advanced move. Become the person everyone wants to work with. When your toxic colleague's reputation is built on taking credit and blame shifting, your reputation for collaboration and integrity makes the contrast obvious. Subtle isolation. Don't badmouth the toxic colleague. That looks unprofessional. Instead, just be consistently excellent to work with. When project leaders have a choice, they'll choose you every time. The result? They find themselves increasingly excluded from important projects and conversations. They're not being actively blocked, they're just not being chosen. Tactic 5, the boundary boss. The final tactic is becoming the boundary boss, setting limits so clear and consistent that they can't manipulate or exploit you anymore. The foundation, professional boundaries aren't mean, they're necessary, and you're going to enforce yours, like your career depends on it. Your boundary enforcement. I'm not available for work calls after 6 p.m. I need that request in writing before I can prioritize it. That's outside my job description. You'll need to speak with my manager. I can help with that, but it will mean delaying this other project. Advanced boundary setting. Make them go through proper channels. If they usually bypass your manager to dump extra work on you, start responding with have you cleared this with manager's name? I want to make sure I'm prioritizing correctly. Why this works. Toxic colleagues target people they can manipulate. When you become unmanipulatable, they move on to easier targets. The transformation. You go from being their convenient dumping ground to being someone they have to respect. And respect from a toxic person often looks like avoidance, which is exactly what you want. Your workplace transformation. Here's what's going to happen when you implement these 5 tactics. First, your toxic colleague will realize they can't rely on you to cover for their incompetence anymore. They'll start making mistakes that are visible to everyone. Second, your professional reputation will skyrocket while theirs stagnates. Management will start seeing you as leadership material and them as a problem to manage. Third, they'll either have to change their behavior or find new victims. And you'll never be a victim again. The beautiful irony, by focusing on becoming an exemplary employee, you automatically expose their unprofessional behavior without ever having to directly confront them. Your new workplace reality. You're respected by management and colleagues. You have clear boundaries that everyone honors. You have documentation for any future issues. You're building the career you actually deserve. Remember, you don't have to tolerate toxic behavior just because you work together. Professional doesn't mean pushover. Call to action and community. Now I want to know, which workplace behavior frustrates you most? The credit stealer, the blame shifter, the office gossip who spreads lies about you. Drop a number 1 to 5 for the tactic you're most excited to implement. And if you have a toxic colleague story, share it in the comments. Your experience might help someone else reclaim their waikari, paniakari. If this video gave you the tools to handle your workplace situation, hit that subscribe button. I'm building a community of people who refuse to be anyone's doormat, at work or anywhere else. Your workplace transformation starts now. Welcome to your professional glow up.